Good day, all you fandom fanatics, and welcome to another comic throwdown on Grudge Match, the show that allows DC and Marvel Comics to clash in the form of one-on-one slugfests between all the characters we know and love to see who is the top of the heap. Today we are firing off another lightning round where we quickly blitz our way through several popular suggestions that for one reason or another don't rise to the level of a full matchup. So we have 3 quick hits we're going to get through today, and we'll waste no time diving right into the first one. It's a battle of possessing baddies when Eclipso from DC Comics goes head-to-head with Shadow King of Marvel Comics. Eclipso is the original Angel of Vengeance, the original Wrath of God, before the more notable Spectre of DC Comics took over. Eclipso went bad and rebelled against God and his position, and ever since then has been a malevolent entity in DC Comics, one who most notably possesses other characters, takes them over, and uses them to do his dirty work. Shadow King does something very similar in Marvel Comics. He is a psychic entity, most commonly known as Amal Farouk, but that's not his actual identity. That's just his modern incarnation, and the Shadow King is an ancient psychic entity that has been around since the beginning of humanity. Now, he also uses his powers to take possession of other characters, specifically superpowered characters, and use their abilities to further his own ends. Now, the reason this makes for a grudge match and not particularly a good matchup is because even though there are a lot of similarities between the method of operation of these two characters, there could never be a fight between them because they are completely different in terms of where their power comes from. Shadow King is a completely psychic entity. He exists only on the astral plane and doesn't have a physical body in any way. So he's purely a being of psychic power. Now, Eclipso, on the other hand, is an angelic being. He is a spiritual, mystical being, so he doesn't actually have any telepathic powers. Even though he takes possession of characters all the time, he doesn't do this through psychic means. It's a spiritual possession. So Eclipso can't access the astral plane where the Shadow King lives, and the Shadow King can't access the physical world or any kind of metaphysical spiritual world where Eclipso dwells. So there couldn't actually be a fight between them. All they could ever do is possess different characters and have them fight each other, but that ultimately wouldn't lead to a conclusion in a fight between them because even if their possession victims are killed, that does no harm to either Eclipso or Shadow King themselves. So a fight between them couldn't ever actually happen, and thereby it's a complete draw between them. So moving on to our second matchup, it is a match between diminutive heroines when Wasp from Marvel Comics takes on Bumblebee of DC. Wasp, Janet Van Dyne, is one of the original founding members of the Avengers, and she gained her abilities from her husband, Hank Pym, who developed the technology to shrink and to grow, and in addition to giving her shrinking abilities, he also gave her the ability to grow wings when she shrinks and fire off bioelectrical blast or wasp stings. Bumblebee, Karen Beecher of DC Comics and a early and longtime member of the Teen Titans, has very similar abilities. She can shrink down to diminutive size, has wings to allow flight in that small size, and can fire off bioelectrical energy blasts. So seemingly almost identical power sets and very similar characters in most ways. However, there is one critical factor that makes this a complete mismatch and would be a blowout victory for the winner. Fact is that Janet Van Dyne, the Wasp, not only has the power to shrink, but she has the power to grow as well. She doesn't use it very often, but on rare occasion she has switched it around and gone to growing to great size instead of shrinking down. Now, Bumblebee does not have the ability to do this. She only has the ability to attain a small stature. And in fact, in recent times, she has been stuck in that form. Bumblebee has been shrunk down and not able to retain a normal human size. So, even though a fight between them could just be in small form, flying around trying to shoot each other, at any moment Wasp could, if she wanted to, grow to a mammoth size, whereupon Bumblebee would be completely unable to hurt her, and Wasp could effectively just step on her. So despite the intense amount of similarities between the two, Their powers actually show that it's a bit of a mismatch between them. Moving right along to our third and final matchup of the day, we're going to be taking a look at the super stretchers of the two universes when DC's Plastic Man goes up against the most famous elastic character of Marvel, Mr. Fantastic. While there are numerous elastic-themed characters in both Marvel and DC, such as Elongated Man, Flat Man, Thin Man, these are the two standout most popular elastic characters. Plastic Man, whose real name is Patrick Eel O'Brien, has been a long-standing elastic character, and he has probably the most versatile elasticity of any of the elastic characters. He not only has unlimited stretching, there's virtually no limit to the distance and movements he can make with his elastic form, he can also shape himself into complex structures, being able to take the form of mechanisms or shape-shifting to look completely different, attaining great size, virtually being able to use his manipulation of his body to change his form in any way he wishes. Mr. Fantastic doesn't have this kind of limitless stretching and limitless ability to change himself in any way he likes, but where he shines is Reed Richards of the Fantastic Four has the most advanced intellect of any human in the Marvel Universe. In fact, his great intellect is mostly what he's known for, even more so than his stretching ability. He has the ability to create some of the most advanced weaponry and technology in the entire Marvel Universe. He's traversed dimensions, he's created time travel technology, virtually anything that he can imagine, he can effectively create. So whereas Plastic Man has the superior powers, Mr. Fantastic has the vastly superior intellect. However, in a fight between these two, neither of these two advantages is really going to be a deciding factor for either character. And the reason for that is because one of the standard abilities that comes with elastic powers is a high degree of invulnerability. Both Plastic Man and Mr. Fantastic have immensely high degrees of invulnerability as their elastic bodies cannot really be torn, cannot really be bruised, damaged, they can't be broken. There are certain chemicals that could potentially burn them, or energy attacks that might have an effect. However, Plastic Man and Mr. Fantastic do not have access to energy attacks or chemical weaponry, normally speaking. All they can really do is change their size and shape and use their elasticity in a more melee fashion. And in that kind of a fight, neither one of these characters could really do any damage to each other. This would essentially be a contest of them punching each other with enlarged hammer-like fists and whip-like tendrils back and forth into eternity, never being able to really harm one another. So a fight between them would have to end in a draw. Plastic Man having the superior powers, Mr. Fantastic having the superior intellect, but neither one of them being able to harm each other in any way that could win the fight. So, Plastic Man versus Mr. Fantastic ends in a draw. And that takes us to the conclusion of this lightning round of Grudge Match. Let me know what you think of the outcome of each one of these fights down below, and as always, suggestions for future Grudge Matches and future lightning rounds. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on the next edition of Grudge Match.